Last Saturday, I watched people carry weights, do burpees, push sleds, pull sleds, battle ropes, and run lap after lap in a high rock style fitness challenge. But more than a week later, the moment I still can't stop thinking about is a simple wristband. Because sometimes the biggest victories begin with the smallest steps. Hi everyone, I'm JY. Welcome back to the second half playbook, where we explore how purpose, better health, financial confidence, and meaningful experiences can help us live our best lives, especially in the second half. If you've been watching one of my earlier videos, you know that I recently started volunteering with the NCSF Uplift program. Last Saturday, I had the privilege of joining the NCSF volunteer team at Play Inclusive 2026, held at Singapore Expo as part of GetActive Singapore, an initiative by Sport Singapore, SportSG. Play Inclusive is Singapore's flagship inclusive sports event. It brings together persons of different abilities, their families, caregivers, volunteers, and the wider community through sport, showing that participation, encouragement, and belonging matter far more than winning. The NCSF Uplift program was one of the community partners managing the adaptive fitness activity, and I was grateful to be one of the volunteers for the afternoon session. I thought I was going there to encourage others. Looking back, I realized I came home learning far more than I expected. I arrived at Singapore Expo around noon for the afternoon session. After registering, all the volunteers collected our event t-shirts before gathering for a briefing. This t-shirt. Once the briefing ended, we made our way to the adaptive fitness activity area and prepared for the participants. The afternoon program was conducted in two waves. The first wave started at 1:30 p.m. The second wave followed at 3:30 p.m. As the participants began arriving with their families and caregivers, the atmosphere gradually came alive. There were smiles, warm greetings, encouraging conversations, quiet excitement. Even before the activities began, you could already feel that this was going to be a meaningful afternoon. Looking around Singapore Expo, I was genuinely amazed by the scale of the event. Different sports and activities were taking place throughout the exhibition hall. Basketball, floorball, football, goalball, bocce, community booths, interactive activities. But what stood out most wasn't the sports, it was the people. Volunteers walking alongside the buddies. Families celebrating every achievement. Caregivers smiling with their quiet pride. Complete strangers applauding someone they had never met. It reminded me that inclusion isn't simply about making activities accessible. It's about making every person feel accepted, respected, and valued. The NCSF Uplift program was managing the adaptive fitness activity. The format followed a high rock style fitness challenge. Each team consisted of 2 buddies and 2 volunteers. The teams completed 1 fitness station, ran 1 lap together, moved to the next station, completed the next challenge, ran another lap, and continued this rhythm throughout the activity. The stations included farmer's carry, burpees, sled push, sled pull, ski erg, row erg, battle ropes, and step-ups. Everybody had different strengths. Everybody had different challenges. Success wasn't measured by speed or strength or finishing first. Success was about doing your best, encouraging one another, and finishing together. Throughout the afternoon, I moved around the activity area, helping wherever I was needed. At one point, I joined one of the teams to encourage one of the buddies. I ran alongside him between stations, cheered him on, and encouraged him as we completed each lap together. It was only a small part of the afternoon, but it became one of the moments I remember most. Towards the end of the session, one of the caregivers shared something that deeply touched me about a buddy I had the opportunity to encourage during the activity. The caregiver told me that the buddy had previously been resistant to having a wristband placed on his wrist. But during the event, he calmly accepted the wristband. To many of us, that might sound like a very small thing, but to the caregiver, it represented genuine progress. Not because of the wristband itself, but because it reflected trust, acceptance, and growing confidence. I don't know exactly what made the difference. Perhaps it was being surrounded by familiar volunteers. Perhaps it was the encouraging atmosphere. Perhaps it was simply that he was ready. Whatever the reason, I felt privileged to witness that moment. That conversation completely changed the way I thought about success. Then came another beautiful moment. At the end of each wave, everybody was invited into the stage to receive a medal. As each medal was presented, you could see the smiles on their faces. Some proudly held up their medals. Some couldn't stop looking at them. You could feel how much that moment meant. Later, a few caregivers shared that the buddies were genuinely proud and happy to receive their medals. To some people, it might seem like just a medal, but to the buddies, it was recognition. Recognition for their efforts, their courage, their determination, and for completing something they could truly be proud of. Watching them leave the stage wearing their medals reminded me that encouragement isn't only about helping someone through a challenge. It's also about celebrating every achievement, no matter how big or how small. As I reflected on the afternoon, one thought stayed with me. Outside this event, we often measure success by promotions, income, achievements, or how quickly we move ahead. But that afternoon reminded me that progress looks very different for every person. For one buddy, progress might be completing every station. For another, it might be accepting a wristband. For another, it might simply be standing proudly on stage to receive a medal. None of these achievements is small. Every one of them deserves to be celebrated. Perhaps we spend too much time comparing ourselves with others, when we should spend more time appreciating how far each of us has already come. When I first signed up to volunteer with the NCSF Uplift program, I thought I would be giving something back. But every volunteering session leaves me with something I didn't have before. Gratitude, perspective, hope, and a reminder that encouragement often changes people more than pressure ever can. The buddies may never realize it, but they inspire me just as much as I hope I've encouraged them. As many of you know, I'm now in the second half of life. Like many people, I spent decades building a career, meeting responsibilities, and planning for the future. Those things are important, but this experience reminded me that another measure of a meaningful life is the difference we make in someone else's journey. Sometimes it's through a conversation, sometimes through encouragement, sometimes it's simply walking beside someone for a while. At the beginning of this video, I said I thought I was going there to encourage others. Looking back, I realized I was the one who walked away inspired. Maybe that's what inclusion really means. Not expecting everyone to progress at the same pace, but celebrating every step forward, no matter how small it may seem. My heartfelt thanks to the NCSF Uplift Program. Sport Singapore, ActiveSG, the organizers, the volunteers, the families, the caregivers, and especially everybody who took part that day. Thank you for reminding me that every small step forward deserves to be recognized. Sometimes it's a wristband, sometimes it's a medal, and sometimes it's simply knowing that someone believes in you. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, I would really appreciate it if you could like this video, subscribe to the Second Half Playbook, and share it with someone who believes that kindness, encouragement, and inclusion make our communities stronger. I'm JY. Until next time, take care of yourself, take care of one another, and whether you're just beginning your journey or already in the second half of life, keep moving forward, keep encouraging one another, and make every stage of life the very best it can be.